13. The Land of Shadow. The girl brought the unicorn to a stop just in front of the startled onlookers. The rest of the herd scattered to graze on the lush green vegetation. "Are you not friends of Dog Breath?" she asked, nodding towards Hughes. He gazed at her with open dislike in his eyes. "No, I'm a police officer. Inspector Stevens of Scotland Yard, Paranormal Investigations." "You're police! Brill!" She leapt off the back of the unicorn and put out a hand. She was wearing a black bomber jacket adorned with a variety of badges and luminous yellow leg warmers. Her hair tumbled around her shoulders in chestnut streams, and when she smiled, it was as though the sun had emerged from behind a cloud. Stephen shook her proffered hand, recognising as he did how sweaty his own hand had become. "Do you hear that, Bat?" Ace asked. "This is a policeman. He's one of the officials who'll be able to help us." Jack pushed forward. "Who are you, and where did all of these unicorns come from? Where have you been hiding them all?" "And what about the centaurs?" David added, wanting to be noticed by this attractive girl. "I'm Ace, and this is Bat." "You can talk to it?" asked Stevens. "She's a she, not an it," Ace reprimanded him. "Of course I can talk to her. She's a unicorn, dum-dum." "Where are you from?" Jack asked the unicorn, feeling slightly stupid. "She can't talk to just anyone. She's from Tir Na Nog." "Tir Na Nog?" David asked, wondering why the name sounded familiar. "You said I could help you," Stevens said. "Yeah, you see this guy. Where's he gone?" They looked around. Hughes had discreetly left them. "Anyway, Emrys Hughes and his people in Tir Na Nog are trying to evacuate to Earth." "Wait a moment. Did you say paranormal investigations?" Stevens looked embarrassed but nodded. "Like Ghostbusters?" she grinned. "Not exactly." "Oh, anyway, they're trying to evacuate to Earth because their sun has vanished and demons are swarming over Tir Na Nog. Do you follow anything that I'm saying?" "These unicorns are from another world," Jack summed up. "Is that right?" "Yeah," she nodded her head vigorously. "And they're evacuating to Earth?" "No, not the Keffel, the humans. Look, maybe I'd better show you." She paused as though she was listening to something. "No, I'm sure it'll be all right. I'll just take them to the circle and show them Tir Na Nog, and we'll nip back before any of the guards can stop us." The unicorn whinnied and headed off towards the rest of the herd. "Come with me. I'll show you Tir Na Nog." Ace led them along the track through the trees. As they neared the stone circle, there was a rustling sound around them, and suddenly they were surrounded by a ring of men dressed like something out of the Middle Ages, and carrying weapons that looked equally anachronistic. Emrys was with them. "Oh no! I knew I should have done something about you." "Take them through and hurry," he ordered. "You 5 men, come with me and we'll deal with things here." "What's going on?" David asked. "Well, we're still going to Tir Na Nog, but it may be a longer stay than I'd planned," Ace explained. "Who are these people?" "Stop asking dumb questions, Jack. They're the people from Tir Na Nog, and they aren't very friendly." "Keep moving, you," one of the soldiers told him. "Keep moving? Where? There's nowhere to go." "Into the circle," Ace told him. "That's the way to Tir Na Nog." She stepped forward into the centre of the stone circle and promptly vanished. "Oh, wow!" Jack exclaimed, following her. "Matatrans—" "You next," Stevens suggested to David. Okay, I'm going." David vanished. Stevens turned to face his captors. "It doesn't have any effect on fat, does it? Not an alternative to Weight Watchers?" His only reply was a shove that sent him backwards through the gateway to the other world. Ace found herself treading the same path she had gone along some days ago. Through the sadness and squalor of the tents of the humans they went. There was more of a chill in the air now, and people looked even more wretched. As they walked, she tried to explain the situation to her 3 companions. "Now you know where the unicorns, Keffel they're called here, came from, and this centaur that you found." But what have the humans got against the mythological animals? Inspector Stevens asked.
Apparently there used to be another sun like ours. One day it just disappeared. Round about the same time this guy called Goivni unleashed a plague of demons on Tir Na Nog. The humans want to leave and settle on Earth.
That'd explain it, Stevens nodded.
Explain what?
The coach that Hughes brought, and the way people have been appearing in London, Birmingham and Cardiff.
I didn't know about that.
So, why did you think that Inspector Stevens could help you? David asked.
Well, I thought that if someone in authority could be told about what was going on, they could give the people of Tir Na Nog some help fighting the demons. And then they wouldn't have to desert and leave everyone else to die.
Doesn't sound like a very likely scenario to me, Stevens told her.
It was the best plan I could think of. I wish the doctor was here. They're burning people,
Jack said. Ace looked away.
I know. Don't talk about it.
Stevens took all the details of his surroundings in carefully. This was exactly the sort of situation he had never envisaged. He had considered being contacted by aliens, capturing the Loch Ness Monster, and staking a vampire. He had never thought that he might discover an entire world where unicorns and centaurs were a reality, but here it was. It had none of the glamour of legend, not in real life. It couldn't be expected to have fairy mounds, magic swords, fire-breathing dragons. Some things just weren't feasible. They approached a huge building that spanned the width of the valley. A flight of stone steps led up to a doorway. At the foot of the steps stood another soldier waiting for them.
"Hello, Captain Reese,"
Ace greeted him. She turned to her companions.
"Inspector Stevens, Jack, David, this is Captain Reese."
"Hello, Ace. I thought I told you that you couldn't come back to Dinorban." Ace smiled sweetly.
"I don't like being told what I can and can't do."
"Is that why you've made a hole in our wall? We'll have some difficulty defending that."
"Good. Where are we being taken again?"
"To see the Tuatha De Danann again." "I'm a police officer from Earth," Stevens interjected. "I'd appreciate it if I could see someone in command around here." "And I'd like to see the American ambassador," David requested. "Well, it doesn't work in the movies," he whispered to Jack. "Come along," Captain Reese told them. "I'll take you to the Tuatha."
"Haven't I seen you somewhere before?"
Carrion asked curiously. "My God, what a memory you have," Reese laughed. "This is the girl who came through the circle just a few days ago."
"Of course, I remember now. Ace, more or less."
Ace smiled. "Carrion, you grass snake. Haven't you got any sibilant praying to the land mother that you can do? I'm quite capable of taking these people up to the Tuatha."
"It seems I am redundant,"
Carrion exclaimed.
"As a matter of fact, I do have a great many important things to do. I just considered it common courtesy to be the one who brought them before the Tuatha."
"Of course it is. Now push off, will you?"
"Very well."
Carrion strode off purposefully. "This way." Reese led them on to the stairway and ushered them ahead of him, whilst he waited for the stone slab to swing shut.
"I know the way,"
Ace told Stevens.
"I've been here before."
"Whoever invented spiral staircases," Stevens panted,
"had obviously not discovered the joys of junk food."
He drew a sleeve across his forehead.
"Nearly at the top,"
Ace told him. At the doors to the Tuatha De Danann's chamber, Reese strode ahead of them and banged loudly with the butt of his crossbow. The doors were pulled open by General Nuada, looking wilder than ever. "By Horan's teeth, what do you want, Captain Reese?" "I have brought the girl Ace, who helped the Kethel break through the wall. You've caused us a lot of trouble, girl. We may have to bring forward the evacuation substantially." "If Chilean's report is at all accurate, then we may not have enough time even for that," Driffid told him. It was as though Ace had been dealt a double blow. The sight of Nuada in the doorway, bringing back her memories of the night she had wandered the corridors of Dinorban and seen a figure with wildness in his eyes, and then the news that Trelane had reached Dinorban safely. "Who are these others?" Nuada asked. Bring them in, Driffid croaked. Nuada beckoned for them all to come in and shut the large wooden doors behind them. Who are you? One of the seated men asked. Captain Reese stepped forward. For some reason, Emrys thought they should be brought to Tir na Nog. So what are their names? Nuada bellowed. David Gibson, David said, waving his hand. This is Jack Pilgrim. Hi, Jack smiled uncertainly. I'm Inspector Graham Stevens of Scotland Yard, Metropolitan Police Force, Paranormal Investigations Team. A large title for a little man, laughed Nuada. I am General Nuada. The man seated in the chair is our leader, Driffit. Another of the assembled men jumped up. I want the girl burnt. She's a witch. She deserted me and took up with the company of Cradle. Burn her.
Trelaine!
Ace gasped. Her face twisted, and with a low scream she collapsed to the floor as though events had overcome her. Stevens dropped to her side. What's the matter with her? Trelaine sneered. More proof that she is a witch. She cannot face the accusation. Trelaine, Driffid spoke quietly. There is only one proof that she is a witch, the witch mark. She did not carry it when she last passed through Dinorban, but you may look again. Trelaine bent over and pulled Ace's hair aside. Nothing. Maybe they had become more adept at disguising themselves. She is not a witch. Jack asked, What do you mean by witch? All will be explained in time. David rubbed his hand against the back of his neck and looked down at Ace. We haven't got much time. We're going right back to Fransa Cairog. I'm afraid we cannot allow that, Driffid told him. Ace has already explained that to us, Stevens reminded David. But I'm a representative of the police force in England. Ace thought that if you could get in contact with the British government, they might supply you with weapons to combat your enemies. I'm willing to act as a go-between. I fear it is too late for that. Some days ago I might have agreed to such a scheme, but now the land is growing colder than it has ever been. The world is ending. The sky has fallen. Maybe it will not be long before the oceans overflow their limits. Superstition, Nuada said. Probably, but... Stevens interrupted. And with this catastrophe, you'd exile us to remain here? Once we've escaped, you will be allowed to return to Earth. It'll be too late for you to stop us then. Ace is coming round, Jack said. He knelt down beside her and lifted her head from the floor. Ace, can you hear me? What happened? My head hurts. It was a wild party, David said. Stevens told her, You fainted. Me? Faint? Ace's voice was filled with disbelief. With a resounding crash, the council room doors were flung open. Emrys strode in, carrying a large, blood-stained sack. He bore it like a trophy, and pride shone through on his itch-off-streaked face. My lord Nuada, he said, the problem has been dealt with. He poured the contents of the sack out onto the table. They skittered, twisting and turning across its polished surface. One of them fell to the floor by Ace. She picked it up and gazed at it with horror in her eyes. Her mind grew numb, and her fingers with it, so much so that the bloodied unicorn's horn slipped from her hand. Perhaps, she whispered.